platform, but we should be live right now. Let's see here. Hey, Sabrina, I am so glad to have you on the show. It's just exciting to be talking to you. And I was, as we were looking here, I Googled you and I'm searching all these different platforms. You are on, I mean, you're everywhere on, every magazine interview and all kinds of different podcast episodes. And Google's got all kinds of different videos with you being featured and been on TV as well, right?
Yeah, thanks for having me here. And thanks everyone for listening in today for all your busy day on the middle of the week. And I am someone who really few years back realizing medicine is not just an all be all. I got into the field because I knew that servitude is great and human body is amazing. We can change so many things about ourselves, just like Curtis, you had brain surgery and it's still functioning really well at your profession. And I'm someone who's in heart lung surgery, really, right, treating the number one killer in the world. However, to some point, despite all the accolades, the letters we have behind our name, all the experience we all suffering from these emotional roller coasters and feeling one day is great, the next day we don't even know what's going on. And at the end of the day, I believe we don't have a burnout issue. We have a moral injury issue of decision making and a leadership issue. So how can we really truly be able to sustain and turn up the happiness dial and become the real performer for our true potential that our organization cannot afford to lose? And that's why I'm speaking up all over the place to know that you can do this. You just need some basic mental fitness changes.
I love that. And it's cool that, there's all kinds of people that are like the motivational or inspirational people that I get members asking me all the time, we've got 650,000 followers on different networks. So people are always messaging, asking how to become a motivational speaker, how to become a whatever. And I'm like, well, what experience do you have? What, have you published a book? Have you built a company? Have you done anything in your life that you can teach people about? If you have, great. If you're just motivating people, hyping them up that, they watch you and get motivated and don't really know why, that's not really very effective. So it's awesome. You've got a long list of, you've got what, 3 different degrees? I was looking at different things behind your name there. And it's pretty cool to have that, that list of accomplishments, but also be, you're still working as a physician's assistant, but then also doing the motivational speaking and then, being featured on TV and stuff is really a cool jump that you made to be working on body and also the mind and spirit. So I thought that was kind of a neat thing. And I'm honored to have you on today.
Thank you so much for your time. And of course, we are here because we all at the end of the day have a different genius zone. I always say we need to be able to function in the area that we're super good at, right? Like that genius, because our genius zone is different from other people and that makes us unique. We just need to tap deeper into it. And we need to also work on things we're super good at, the efficient part. If you have both, then your life is super focused. You're no longer saying yeses to the things that truly robbing your precious time, energy, and sanity. You are being truly you. If we're doing things that we're good at, but we're not passionate about, and then it's a distraction. If it's the things you're passionate about, but it's not, you're just simply not good at. And then you're actually is doing a hobby that's a waste of your time. And of course, if it's no to both, that definitely need to be eliminated out of your play, unless it's something have to do for your career, personal growth, relationship, then it should be, how can you automate or delegate that out? So think about, that's where I kind of started a few years back. I was in a place that I thought I had everything. As you say, I had a neuroscience degree, I have a music degree, I have a public health degree, I have a health science degree, I have a medical license, all this stuff. What does that truly mean after you have all the degrees, letters? It doesn't quite mean anything if you don't even know where you're going in life. So I was in a place, I believe that many young, ambitious professionals are the same. We don't mind working hard. We're driven, we're going at it. But if then you do all this stuff you start losing who you are as a person, or you never even ask yourself that. What is the ideal lifestyle that you truly want? And why do you want that? So we can reverse engineer. Because at that time, I was operating multiple surgery a day and running around over 80 hours a week. And one day I woke up barely 8 o'clock in the morning, exhausted. And my body even felt weak because I had a fever or 101 degrees at the
Oh,
time.
geez.
So it wouldn't have been so bad if I just gave myself a day off. But I was in the hospital. In fact, at the time, I was completely scrubbing for open heart surgery. And typically, I'm just like you're seeing right now, I'm chatty, right? I'm explaining things. And that day, I was quiet, staring at my patient's chest, trying to get through that surgery. Because our case is long, typically at least 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah.
And even my nurse noticed. So they took pity on me and keep passing Dayquil and cough drop under my mask just to make me last for the rest of the day. And without a medical degree, you don't need a medical degree to tell anybody, yo, girl, you need to stop, right? Like,
Take a break. Yeah.
take a break. So the next morning, I woke up, could barely just made out of bed. So I had to call my boss to take that sick day. And he responded, oh, you're just telling me this now? Don't make a habit out of this. Like, what?
Yeah.
Did I hear it right? I felt that instant frustration and feeling so underappreciated. And guess what? Statistics have also shown us the number one motivation factor in our job performance is appreciation. More than promotion, increase in salary, giving you more training, and even giving you more autonomy at job. And that's the piece maybe I need to take ownership on that. I'm the one who's letting other people keep telling me what to do. I'm just saying yes. Oh yeah, okay, we'll do this, and we'll add on this part. And then between your eat, sleep, work, you don't even have anything to yourself. Now you're just running yourself to the ground.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to admit to something here that I probably make me sound not great, but you probably know, I owned a cosmetic medical laser franchise and a pharmaceutical compounding company, and different number of different businesses where I had employees and stuff. And I was, growing as a leader now, realizing that as a leader, you also have to be able to follow and love people a little bit and give them some slack, give them some space when they need it. But as I was building the different companies, I owned 3 retail cell phone stores, do different things. But I always had to micromanage and make sure that every single task was done absolutely perfectly. And I'm talking to our web designer and our SEO guys and our everybody in every different part of the team, and I'm okay. This is what needs to be done here. That needs to be done there, and just making it to where there was really no decisions for them to be making. So that's I love that you mentioned delegating and be able to kind of outsource those tasks and get rid of things that a lot of that stuff I hated doing, but I was just dragged down. The bigger the company's got and the more employees you get, the harder it is to micromanage and have your thumb on every single aspect. So I wish I'd have heard your advice, 10 years ago, because that would have been would have probably changed where I'm at today. But I appreciate that. That was some great advice.
Yeah. So that one piece, it's out of 9 sabotaging tendencies. That's one of the key thing about high performers, because we feel like if we can control everything, right, you measure that out, that means the result must be good. But if we don't even know the little steps to tell people, then they must be lost. And we're creating more anxiety for ourselves and make other people's life harder, because if we already calculate everything, why would they think for themselves? Why would they take the initiative to become a problem solver as well and highlight their own ability? And that goes really the number one step in my simple 3-step system to become that true peak performer who has the influence that your organization cannot afford to lose, is to rebuild your mental immunity. When we're able to know what type of brain is that part that we give gratitude, appreciation, curiosity, right? Those are easy to generate as well. But what are the sabotaging behavior? Like you also mentioned, controlling. There are other things like judgment, pleaser, avoidance, perfectionism, or hypervigilant means you feel like you always have to do something, otherwise you don't mean anything, right? If we can even identify these factors and then do exercise to quickly pivot back to that positive intelligence side of us, then we can add on to our IQ and EQ to create bigger achievement.
Yeah, the emotional part of that is a huge thing, and not just the IQ. And that was took me a long time to figure out. So I appreciate you mentioning that. Tell me about those 3 steps that you just mentioned earlier.
So number one, we just briefly mentioned, is building mental immunity, because it's a mental muscle. Just like importance of building your physical muscle, you need to eat right, exercise consistently. Our brain also need to be exercised as well, because we always gonna have unexpected roadblocks in life, whether it's from your own expectation or the outside naysayers. Why control something you couldn't control? Knowing, accept whatever happened, it happened. But then we can turn every situation into a gift and opportunity by identifying what doesn't work and knowing it's not you, it's just one of your tendency. And stop blaming yourself, criticizing yourself for whatever that haven't happened. And then we can think about how can we be more resourceful and curious to create more opportunity going forward. And now that's really the first one, right?
Okay.
How can we create this big empowered mind of us, accepting what doesn't work and knowing we have the ability to make something better?
I got you.
Yeah. So the second one is to redefine your motivation. Now, I believe a lot of people are overwhelmed, they're stressing out, and they're thinking they're burning out, but it's actually not a burnout issue. It's actually because they lost the aim. They have a moral decision-making and leadership issue. Just like what Curtis just said, oh, he used to feel like he need to plan out everything, control the movements. But if you actually understand your main goal, what is this bigger picture that you want out of life, instead of these means goal, right? I got to get another degree, another promotion, more money, more time, then I can be happy. Well, I'm telling you, you actually don't need more time to do the mundane stuff, to do the things that robbing your time, robbing your energy and sanity. What you need to know is realign yourself to your value system, to who you're fighting for, to what is the bigger lifestyle that you want and why you even wanted to get there. And sometimes these things changes. And that's why we need to do weekly alignment for ourselves, because you deserve just to give yourself 20 minutes, a half hour on the weekly basis to do this. And that's one of the things that even one of my clients, she worked with me. She's actually a well-known lawyer in a firm, but she felt like she is a little fish in a big pond. And but she's actually in charge with many people.
Yeah.
And she felt like, well, actually, I just don't want it to be married to my job anymore. All I wanted is to play cello in a local orchestra. And I said, why not? Let's figure this out. So what I have her do is this Burnout Bulletproof weekly alignment worksheet. We identify multiple factors. You only list your top 3 value system for the week. And write down what are your non-negotiables, which are not the same as good to do, right? And what are the, right? And what are the skills that you haven't been tapping into and you want to learn more of? And who can you learn these skills from? And right?
Sorry about that. I was going to mention that point you made about delegating tasks to people, basically to people who can do things better than you can, or who enjoy different areas. We've got a dozen or so volunteer moderators on the Success, Motivation, Inspiration group right now, where this video is being streamed. And that was a huge thing when I started out, trying to get to the first, we've got 300 and some odd thousand active members now. But when we started, I was working my guts out trying to get to 100 members, and then, 1,000, spent forever trying to build that group to 1,000 members. And when we got our first moderator, jumped in, and then the next few as the thing was growing, and we had created this group chat, and I was still even micromanaging, going, okay, this is what needs to happen here. Here's how you make the decision on this. Making videos of, okay, here's how you respond to these type of things, and it was really a blessing for all the businesses to blow up like they did, because it's either I was working 18 plus hours a day, 7 days a week, just miserable with life, making good money and connections all over the world, but had just no life as far as being able to enjoy anything or whatever. And so that's been a good thing too, to be able to realize that folks, let them do what they're good at and what they enjoy and what they're strong with. And they're probably doing that a lot better than I have been, or than you could be too, if you're outsourcing stuff. So that's
Right,
great advice.
exactly. And that's the alignment piece. Understanding what type of influence out of the six typical way to influence other. What is your way, right? If you're the manager, right, the organizer, then be in that zone. If you're the teacher like myself, then all I want to do is in front of people, answer questions, solve them, because I can really picture the outcome already for them to create that path. Now, if you're someone who are in a place who just like to connect with people, then maybe that's your role. And understand how you gel with other people, what makes you lit up. That's more than trying to do 10,000 things at the same time, thinking you need to do that. But actually, no, we don't need to do anything. We actually need to do one thing really well and let other people do the things they do really well so they can help you. It's about what I call them creating an army of walking ambassadors.
That's awesome. Yeah, Bob Berg has talked about that a little bit. He's a real, good, just a great author I enjoy. Ari Meisel is another author I've interviewed he's talked about outsourcing and delegating tasks that you don't enjoy. And, I'm hearing all of this now after I've built all these businesses and made so many mistakes on that side. So it's good to have you reinforce that again, what I've done wrong, and that I'm making the right choices here now. So
Oh no, we all learn, right? That's once you have that experience, the best memory is something that triggers our emotion and understand that is something we won't want to live through again, or is something that's so precious, like people's wedding, the best trip that I ever had, birth of their kid, right? And so they understand why they're living their life they're on right now, and to truly align. That's what the part we ask, what is your ideal lifestyle? And do you know what that look like? Because if we're gonna do video editing and artwork, and we're not graphic designer, we're not audio editor, they're gonna take more time away from family, friends, or even just the hobby things that you truly would help you to even elevate other parts of your life. And to tap into all key component of our life is better than just going down one path only. And that leads to the third step in my system, which is we have to reboot our efficiency by knowing how to recharge our energy instantly. Because without the right energy, productivity really don't mean anything. We can talk about productivity systems all day long, but you won't even have the basic foundation to do them. And the easy way to do this is what I call them the micro mini mental vacations. So there are 2-minute exercises incorporating your breathing, visualization, highlighting one of our five senses, and setting a new intention for the next task. To be fair, let's say the two of us are having a great conversation, but is this energy, to be fair, to carry out to the next person, right? The dynamic is different. You don't know
yeah,
what that next person you're talking to, what they're going through their life. If you're too happy or too sad or like angry about something that just happened to you, it's not fair to anybody else.
yeah.
So we have to reset ourselves so we can be in the optimal condition to serve others well. And that means doing these exercises. And people can actually grab a free audio exercise at sabrinarunbeck.com/energy.
I was just going to ask you if you had a resource like that that we could share with the audience. Would you mind sharing that one more time? We can drop that link in the show notes when we get done as well.
Yeah, it's my full name, sabrinarunbeck.com/energy. And if we have time, we can do a exercise together. Really, there's hundreds of different ways to do this, but I play with my clients what you are really good at. Some people like touch, some people like smell, right? Some people are visual learners. So you incorporate the ways that naturally come to you. Then when we build habit, it's like the pretty snowflake. Think about like last time you saw snow. If you just had one snowflake on your palm, you're like analyzing all the geometry of the snowflake, but it melts quickly. If you put it together with other snow, make a snowball and roll it a little bit, it becomes bigger and bigger. That's how momentum is created. That's how habits are created. Attaching something with something existing, right? Then it's not new anymore. It's just a different way of your practice, and understanding what's the bigger outcome that we want, right? And it's relaxation, focus. Now we can swap out the actual existing habit. Instead of grabbing your phone, start scrolling, right? So 2 minutes later, you're probably even more anxious because, oh, someone did this. Oh, I didn't remember this person went on this trip. It actually create anxiety. Instead of you actually in tune with yourself, be more present, allow your energy to peak at a better level to serve your people.
Cool. That's a great tips there. So one more time, sabrinarunbeck.com/energy. So I'll visit that site after we get done here and check that out myself. And I'll also drop the link in the show notes. And then what kind of information or what kind of advice do you have for somebody that, so for example, if you had got to talk to me 5 years ago when I was running, multiple retail stores, and I mean, even a few years ago here, and working 18 hours a day and just miserable with life because I had, I was making the money, but just not enjoying life at all. Do you have any advice on that as far as restructuring or reprioritizing what you're doing in life there?
Yeah, it's such a great question. The first thing you start thinking is, if everything goes away, especially you're in a place that nothing seems to be enjoyable anymore. Okay, fine. But if everything goes away, what was the one memory that you had that just naturally light you up? What was that one thing that you did that you can talk about it for hours upon hours, even without being paid, and you just can't wait to share with others? What was that thing? And how long ago have you been able to do that? Now, then I ask people to have a brainstorm session where you have a blank sheet of paper. The first column, you're going to write down all the skills that you currently have. Doesn't matter how efficient you are at it, you're just going to write down everything. After about 5 minutes, you want to time yourself, because sometimes right at the end of the clock, you actually come up with something really great. And then you're going to circle the ones that you wanted to tap into even more. And you want to start the ones that you might want to develop because it's not your top skills yet. And then you're going to move on to the second column, writing down of all the things that you wish that you could have in life, right? So now we start matching the skill system with what we want to go. And do we have the skill to already matching our future? So then once we have that future lined up and we have our skill, now we can reverse engineer. Okay, these things seem to be working out, or I already have that. If you wanted to be an awesome author and you're good at writing, did you publish? When was the last time you helped other people, right? Like then you can also learn about collaborating with other authors, journalists, right? Elevating that type of skill. Now you're becoming more in tuned with the exact thing that you wanted to achieve. Instead of figuring out, oh, do I have to build a business? Where do I go? Do I find clients? How do I even sell a book if I become an author, right? Then there's too many question marks. Let's take all that away, just focusing on what you're good at, how you can elevate yourself, and how would that make and turn into that beautiful future you're trying to create.
That's awesome. So I actually followed exactly the advice you just gave. That's how I ended up now, on Amazon Fire TV and, publishing books and different things. I was running at the time I owned 3 retail stores, 80% of a nationwide telecommunication company. Like I said, 18-hour a day, 7 days a week. I hadn't taken a day off in probably 2.5 years. And I lived in the back of one of my retail stores, like in the broom closet kind of area, a little on a futon mattress, because I was trying to keep the businesses growing and stuff. And that was the point where I'm just going, yeah, there's money, and yeah, we've got, now we're doing 250,000 customers a month on the internet there, and so it was like everything is good. And I was talking to my mom one day, going, I don't understand why I'm so depressed. Everything is going good. Business is just insane. We've got all these employees that are, they're loving their jobs now. Everything is going good. We're doing pizza parties. We take everybody out for steak or different things, and just really an enjoyable thing for the employees and for everybody else. But being so dedicated to work that I really didn't enjoy. I hated owning retail stores. I don't know why I kept opening more, but it was just like, I was chasing the money rather than having a good life and being happy. And so that was a good thing to, we had that conversation, and I decided, what, I think I'm going to start mountain biking. So I went and bought a little used mountain bike and started doing these trips. And that year did 121 trips. Crazy all over, like extreme stuff. Ended up with a really high end bike. And I just realized then, man, if I could just get out before work and take a bike ride that I'm, loving, dropping off these cliff edges and just crazy stuff. Like if I can be doing that for a couple hours a day, and that makes my life that much more enjoyable, why am I chasing the retail store so hard? Why am I pushing that so hard? And so just focusing, I made a list of what am I good at? What do I enjoy doing? And where do those things combine? And started going, hey, I really enjoy uplifting and motivating and trying to inspire people. And, I built this little Facebook group that, at the time we had, a few thousand members, but going, I really love doing this, and I would do that forever for free. I didn't even know I could make money on it at the time. And so that was a big thing to kind of figure out, what do I want to do in life? And then now I start being able to teach other people that, go, yeah, you can make all the money in the world, but if you hate your life, it's not there's no benefit. What are you going to do? Live, donate that money to somebody when you pass away? But I followed your advice exactly before I ever even heard you say it. So that was kind of a neat
That's amazing
confirmation
because
there,
yeah, and what you also good about what you did was you realize life means more than just business. And that's why life for me really is 10 different pillars. If we're not able to tap into all of them, eventually one day you're going to hit a roadblock. And that's why for everybody who work with me, we start by having 100-question deep dive on these 10 pillar of life to figure out what is your number one killer that's preventing you from harmony in your work and life to truly be able to maintain a happiness style instead of going through all these emotional a roller coaster. What you're doing is great for your employees, for your clients, but it's not for you. And when that happens, no matter how many degrees, how big a business you build, statistics also shown us more than 50% of the C-level executives in the school, they're not happy. Why? They're so focused on their identity. And that's one of the sabotaging behavior too. We feel like if we achieve something, then we become valued, then we become more confident. Instead, if we love, like you, mountain biking, like my other client, cello, and someone else who really all she wanted to garden half hour after work, like, great, let's build that in, right? And that become your non-negotiable, because that part of your self-growth, personality development, and truly you can connect not only your family and not only your mental and physical well-being, that all triggers into other pillars of your life to elevate things continuously going up at the same time. So you are able to be more intentional, spend maybe just half hour on this little task, little thing that you enjoy. And that actually means a whole lot than spending a whole day just go on vacation. Even people say, oh, I go on vacation all the time, but I still don't like the way I'm working because it's too late.
Yeah.
When we don't know how to reboot our energy, reset ourselves, and you just wait, right? Oh, after this day's shift, then I can do it. Oh, this weekend, then I'll get around to it. You already train yourself.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, and, and there's the brain tumor thing kicking in. I have no clue what I was just going to talk about. I, you were
That's all
saying
good.
something there was, taking that break, like you were talking about, so on the mountain biking thing, Mother's Day, last year before last, I broke my leg in 19 places, so I will probably never be able to mountain bike again. I spent 9 months in a wheelchair, or 6 months in a wheelchair, but, like you said, just getting out and taking that little bit of time. The reason I had stayed away from any type of break or vacation or even a mental rest, except for when I was laying in bed, was because I felt like there was so much to do. 18 hours a day could not cover all the tasks that need to be done. And so when I started doing that couple hours of mountain biking in the morning, or what, now, whether it's going out and walking the dog or whatever, just getting out and taking that little bit of a break to kind of refresh, I am so much more productive in few hours daily than did just working your guts out. So that's the biggest thing that I would recommend to folks. And I really appreciate you mentioning that. So that's a great thing you said there.
Yeah, that go back to your point. So the author of Happiness Advantage, so he's a Harvard grad. He actually found in research cardiovascular exercise burst of them, even just 10 to 15 minutes in the morning consistently can beat people from taking antidepressant. It's such an example that you're giving. When we have the knowledge to be able to reset and reboot, right? And also you make that non-negotiable because it's both things you enjoy and it's good for our physical health. So you can be in a better spot to kick off your day than anybody else. And that's one reason in cognitive psychology, we call that having one good habit that triggers multiple. That's why so many people talking about morning routine, right? Why getting up? It's not even about getting up early. It's about the first hour that you get up, what you do with it.
That's awesome. Jeff Wobig mentioned a similar thing. He's a Marine Navy SEAL Team 5, SEAL Team 7 sniper. Just a stud. He's like, everything he's done, he's just absolutely maxed out. And Maximum Warrior, Maxim Magazine, Magnum Warrior competition. He won with, years ago. They had all these shooting targets lined up like crazy distances down the field or whatever. And he hit the first four, and he said it was late at night, and so they hadn't even lit up the one that was so far, like ridiculous, longer than anybody had ever shot. They hadn't even lit the target up because it was so far out there. And so he went through, ding, 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 hit the first four, and then shot the last one. So they had to go back on and turn the light on, and to be able to count the score or whatever. But it was just kind of a funny thing But one thing that he says is he gets up every morning and does something to make himself sweat. So, it could be, 10 minutes of, pull-ups or push-ups or, jumping jacks or something just to get the blood flowing and stuff. And he's talking about what a great day that is to start with that little bit of energy, exercise burst there. So it's, we'll have to talk after the show too here. We've got a lot of similarities in our thought process, I think.
I know there's so much to talk about because we haven't even tapped into what I mentioned when people think about chronotype, right? Like we all have a different energy cycle, and that goes into your sleep cycle and your basic human energy cycle. Common things people talk about is like, morning bird or night owl, but there are actually two more, right? The midday people are about 80% of us are all midday. And then you have the one who just insomnia. It doesn't matter when they sleep, they just can't sleep. So if we actually understand our energy cycle, just like the TV segment I did recently, daylight saving, you thought you gain an hour or you thought you lose an hour. It's not just about the hour. Yeah. There's a study by 8 different large healthcare organizations showing healthcare professional having more human error the week after daylight saving. Because why? They're fatigued, they're off their sleep cycle, and that is what triggers our decrease in productivity, and fatigued workers lose 5.6 hours of work per week. And that's almost a whole day of work, right? That's significant. So when we are able to know our energy cycle, means what's your sleep cycle? I usually, on average, is about 90 minutes per cycle. If you can calculate how many cycles you can sleep, it's really not about the duration anymore. It's about when you need to go to bed and when you need to get up, and you calculate this time frame. And even with our travel, right? For many people like you as well, we travel for fun, for work. How can we not get jet lag when we get there so we can truly enjoy?
That's awesome. As far as that sleep cycle goes, that would almost make sense for an employer. I'd never heard that 5.6 hours a week of lost productivity after the daylight savings.
Fatigue, yeah.
But that would almost be worth giving your employee the first day off after the thing, not only for the employee appreciation, but just going, hey, they probably need to recharge and maybe come back not only grateful but also more productive and feeling better when they get back to work on Tuesday or whatever.
Right. Usually daylight saving is on the Sundays. What most people do is, since I have the day off, I'm going to sleep in the whole day. But then you just screw up your sleep cycle already. And so your body can't even readjust for a few days. But if we know, okay, we're actually gaining an hour, but actually I need to sleep for extra hour and a half. And that's okay. Now, people might not have the exact same duration of sleep cycle. Yes, I know on average it's 90, but I know mine is actually 80 minutes because I calculate that. So if you guys wanted to try this, let's say you needed to get up 6 o'clock in the morning, and that means you need to sleep minimum 6 hours, right? That's for sleep cycle. And you have to go to bed about midnight. So when you go to bed by midnight, if you're able to wake up right at around 6 o'clock, you're not feeling tired. So your sleep cycle is probably about an hour and a half. But if you wake up before your alarm clock rings, that means your sleep cycle is shorter. So now you can divide that by 4. And if you wake up past the alarm and still feel exhausted.
Tell me that again about dividing by 4. What's so dividing the number of minutes by 4 and adding that to the time that you're sleeping, or?
So each cycle on average is 90 minutes. If we think we wanted to sleep 4 different cycles, right? So that's 6 hours. And then you want to wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning. Therefore, you have to go to sleep at midnight, right? That makes sense. Yep. 4 cycles to 6 a.m. Yep. Now, if you wake up right around that time, not feeling bad, and you're feeling pretty good, actually, your sleep cycle is probably just about 90 minutes. If you wake up before that 6 a.m. alarm, your sleep cycle is going to be shorter. So how do we know how much shorter it is? Since it's 4 sleep cycle, you wanted to use that time that you have already woke up before that alarm, let's say 5:30, then divide by 4 to calculate how many minutes you have per cycle. Same thing. If you wake up, right? So if you then wake up past the alarm, that alarm rang, again, you feel like snooze, oh my goodness, let's snooze again, right? And then you finally wake up later on. So that new time is probably your sleep cycle is longer than 90. Maybe it's 100 or longer. So we kind of can work with that. If you just wanted to test this out on your own at home, at the same time, you can also just go to a sleep lab, have a professional test that out for you.
I actually did that recently.
Awesome. What's the result?
They didn't test the sleep cycles, but they did all kinds of tests on to stay up the night before and gave me all kinds of different. That was part of the just follow up checking on the brain brain tumor deal there, but it was a whole lot less intrusive than I thought it would be. You know, they scrub your head down and put all the electrodes all over it, and kind of a crazy deal. But yeah, that was a neat thing. If somebody's wanting to do a sleep cycle test, that's definitely not a scary thing to do. You just sleep a little bit less the night before and get up, don't drink any coffee or nothing, and come in and sleep in their office. So
I know. And also some people just simply have sleep apnea and they don't really know why they're snoring, whatnot. And some people snoring at night is really a nasal passage polyps or obstruction, not a sleep apnea issue, right? So when they actually do a sleep study, they can diagnose exactly what is the medical issue that preventing you from getting a good night's sleep, and not just the basic you went to bed wrong. Or sometimes we feel like, oh, I'm so exhausted, let me just watch my shows. And then especially in Netflix, it auto plays. You get stuck on sitting on your couch for hours, and somehow the bedtime it become like, oh, it's okay, I don't have to go to bed yet.
3 o'clock in the morning and you got to be up at 5, huh? So the services that you offer, you know, obviously you're monetizing the speaking engagements you're doing, you know, TV and podcasts and different things like that. You're offering those services all through sabrinabeck.com or sabrinarunbeck.com. Is that the best way to get a hold of you? Or?
Yes, I'm very active on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Just my handle, Sabrina Runbeck. And what I do with people who are either a leader who wanted to know, how do I become that person that people instantly connect with you, so I don't have to convince them to jump on my wagon because they already trust me, right? That army of walking ambassador we talk about, because I'm able to elevate and bring out the best in others, because you have that trust and relationship. And then we can think about how can we tap into these people's skill. Now we take away, right? Now we're delegating because we trust them. They do a good job. And you creating a freedom for yourself of time and energy. And that's how we become even more efficient and become that true peak performance, tap into your full potential and maintaining your happiness. Also, we remove our sabotaging behavior. Now, same thing with people who are entrepreneurs. You guys are so good at building business, but how about you don't build it in a way like what Curtis mentioned? I was working 7 days a week, always on, and then you don't even enjoy your life. This passion really turned into a poison. Let's not do that. If you started with a passion, let's keep it as your passion.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's what I do for people in either a small, intensive 10 people group, versus if people who really want that one-on-one attention, then we build a one-on-one program.
Perfect. And you're doing that on is that a per session basis, or you do a package where somebody signs up for a number of sessions with you, or how's that work?
Yeah, the intensive is a 6-day intensive. And that's why it's a small group 6-day. You're ready to work, we're ready to go. And versus a one-on-one base is a 6-week process. So you have some more time to get deep into each segment of your life, and also build both a career goal and personal goal, because we know, right, life is not just one thing. We wanted to elevate everything.
And I am constantly interviewing different entrepreneurs and leaders and speakers, and a whole lot of people that do the virtual conferences and virtual, you know, events and stuff like that. And a lot of times we get done, you know, I've done this to help people promote their brand and stuff, but getting out and talking to you, I would like to check out your service as well. So when we get done here, I'll stop the live stream and like to get some more information from you about that, because it sounds like you've kind of got the fruit on the tree as far as learning, as far as practicing what you preach. So I'd like to connect with you after this.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool. Thanks so much. I'm going to stop the stream right now and we can keep chatting for a sec. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, if you want to get a hold of Sabrina, it's sabrinarunbeck.com. And she's got you can Google her, search her on any social media platform. She's on pretty much everywhere. We just connected with a lot of different platforms today. So thanks again, Sabrina.
Thanks everyone for listening. Have a wonderful week.